Welcome to part 2 of Scene Trivia, 100 and something useless things you may not know about Teslagrad, where we go through every scene in the game and show at least one new thing about each. We recommend you watch part 1 first if you haven't already, since we'll make references to previous things, link in the description below. Without further ado, let's continue. Barrier. Usually the game locks the camera movement so you can't see anything beyond the playable area. But if you place yourself right before the camera transition, look up and jump, you can see past the upper limit of this scene and the unloaded room above it. Tower. You can't see it in-game, but the tower extends underground. Like, really underground. At this point, it's not a tower anymore, but a missile silo. What was the real plan of the Teslamancers? Trials. The intended solution for the trials is to use the blue Voltwalker to lift the barrier, climb using the red one, and punch the platform blue to reach the top. In a speedrun, we use the power of troll physics to skip using the Voltwalkers. But if you want to go for style points, you can use blue magnetism to lift the barrier and completely skip the platform with a precise jump. It's slower, but come on, that was cool. Another piece of trivia from the developers themselves is that this scene was the first prototype room ever implemented in the game. Here's an old video with very early assets. In that version, the room was mirrored, so it may be a bit hard to recognize, but this is the end part and we fall on the platform that we punched to blue in the original game. Then we go near the blue Voltwalker at the entrance of the room. We also have a picture of early artwork for it. Isn't it gorgeous? Here's the current version, mirrored for reference. Well. The first time you arrive at the well, Oleg throws a can of food and continues on his way. If you're fast enough, you can follow him and watch him go into the ground. You can see it even better if you do it in New Game Plus and have the blink boots available. Thunderbolt. For some reason, you can blink inside this pipe at the entrance of the room. It's the only one that behaves like this. Dodge this. If you stay near the left wall, the obstacle will push you through the wall. If you blink to the left, the game will consider you out of bounds and respawn you at the checkpoint. You can also do it on the right wall and get stuck inside the walls of Thunderbolt. Iron Lice. The name of this scene comes from these little slugs called iron lice, but it seems that some translation teams didn't really know what to do with that. The Spanish translation is sabandija, which is closer to the English word for pest in that it can refer to an annoying bug or an annoying person, and ignores the iron part entirely. We feel that a better Spanish translation of iron lice would be piojos de hierro. But the award for the worst name goes to the French team, who called it éclair, which means flash of lightning. It fits well with the previous room, Thunderbolt, but it has nothing to do with iron lice. Or maybe it does, because éclair is also the name of a delicious French pastry that maybe looks a bit like iron lice? And coming from people who eat frogs and snails, I can't help but think that French Teslamancers eating these poor creatures is canon in the Teslagrad universe. Okay, apologies for that joke, but it was written by a Frenchman, so don't get mad at me. Here's also an alternative strat for this room, which skips the bottom slug. Magic Carpet. Every object in the game has an internal name set by the developers, and for some reason the magic carpet is called Peter Square. probably in reference to Rain Games' big boss, Peter Wingard Meldal, which I have little to no chance of pronouncing correctly. Maybe that's his personal favorite block in the game? Also, if Teslakid is near the edge of the Peter square and you turn it blue without moving, he will start to vibrate furiously. Snakeway. To get the scroll in this room, you're supposed to blink into the hidden shaft and get all the way to the top. But an alternative strat is to use the left magnet and the Voltwalker's magnetism to get that scroll. It seems faster, but in a speedrun, we enter this room from underneath, so the normal way is still better. Also, the engraving on this platform says, "Hit the box on the left and the magnet will open a passage to the warm underground where Furnace is waiting." Isn't it great when developers give clear instructions to the players in ancient Norse? Maglev. You can blink underneath the electricity. That could have been a cool spot for a top secret scroll, but instead the game just kills you for seemingly no reason. Deep down. Normally, all of the checkpoints are placed inside their respective rooms, so when you load a save file, the game loads the room and puts Teslakid where the checkpoint is located. But this checkpoint wrongly points to Deep Down instead of Maglev, making it the only checkpoint in the game that's placed outside of its room. It means when you load this file, Teslakid spawns in Maglev, but the game only loads Deep Down, which looks like this. You can walk around a bit and then fall forever out of bounds. But, in the opposite of all the other out-of-bounds glitches we've shown, here the game will never teleport you back to the checkpoint. I guess you're not considered out of bounds if you never went inbounds in the first place. Hidey Hole. In your first playthrough, this place is usually quite hard to find, but the game gives you a little hint in the Magnet Fly's room. If you climb down these vines, you can clearly see the scroll and then try to figure out the entrance. But when you finally enter this corridor, the Magnetfly's room is not loaded, which means that the vines you climbed on are not visible anymore, making a strange continuity error. Furnace. There is a special entity in the game called a spawner. As the name implies, it is used to spawn things. Each spawner has a maximum number of objects attached to it, and will stop spawning stuff until the existing ones are destroyed. Here's an example in the Thunderbolt room. Each pipe is a spawner with a limit of 1, so it won't deliver another Voltwalker before the already spawned one dies. Here's another example in the room Brazen Bull, with this time a limit of 3 iron lice, and because they cannot die, the spawner just stops once the limit is reached. The Stave Church also has an Oleg spawner with a limit of 1, which explains the Oleg dispenser glitch showcased in Part 1. And Furnace also has a spawner in its room that spawns the boxes that you are supposed to throw into its mouth, with a limit of 10. During the fight, it seems infinite because the boxes are destroyed in the furnace, but once the fight is over and the furnace is closed, you can watch the spawner continuously throw boxes until there are 10 of them. But it means that if the boxes get stuck during the fight and cannot be destroyed, the spawner will eventually stop, making the boss quite hard, if not impossible, to kill. But that would be really unlucky, wouldn't it?
Okay, only small crates. Oh, come on! Come on! Furnace! Can I please? Can I please have crates? Please!
With enough determination and time, you can also trap the boxes yourself, which is quite satisfying. Watch how the number of spawning crates slowly decreases. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you soon for part 3 of this series. We still have a lot of scenes to cover. Yeah, I knew that would fall.